Dr. Jessica Ash here, live with Habibah Javed. We are going to discuss female empowerment. And she has a few questions for me. So welcome, Habibah.
Hello.
How are you
Thank
today?
you so much I'm good. Thank you so much for coming in this live interview. And we have today the topic is women empowerment, female empowerment, and this is our episode 6. So I am with Jessica Ashe, as I know Jessica, and you may also know the Jessica. So I would like to ask Jessica to introduce herself.
Sure. Thanks for asking. So I'm Dr. Jessica Ash. I teach at university, and while I teach English, I have found that 18-year-olds need help in becoming their best self. So I have written a book chapter, and I have done a lot of teaching on habits for success. And so I teach how to become your best self in the medium of English. I've also started a nonprofit called Global Mobility, the mission of which is to support high caliber individuals in developing nations on their quest to the global stage. And most recently, as a part of that, I have started a Facebook page and a YouTube channel to empower people all over the world. How's that for an introduction, Habibah?
Amazing. Wonderful.
Great.
Okay, my introduction?
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Habibah Javed. I'm an English teacher and I'm a freelancer. When I was 13 years old, I started programming. I have written HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Native, Docker, Kubernetes. And when I was 14 years old, I started blockchain learning. And at that time, I was too young. And after my learning, after ends of all that, I became certified. So now I am international certified of blockchain business foundation. I'm also a developer. I'm doing freelancing. And now I'm a student. Currently, I'm a student of 5G, fifth generation. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for that great introduction. It's amazing. Your accomplishment. Yeah. You're only 16, but you've had a lot of accomplishments.
Thank you so much. Okay, so should we start?
Yes, you have some questions for me.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to introduce that maybe I know and you know, maybe our audience don't know, or maybe they know. So I wanted to tell my audience what the woman empowerment, female empowerment is. So Jessica, would you please tell something about the women empowerment? That what actually the women empowerment is?
It's the realization that inside of you, you have creativity and abilities that no one else does. They're unique to you as Habibah, or me as Jessica. And the idea is to make the outside world match your inner thoughts. And
Yeah.
So many women don't feel that what's in their brain and in their heart can be out in the world. And the idea of empowerment is to help women act out their dreams of life.
Yeah. So basically, this is known as women empowerment, female empowerment. So my first question to you is that why women are exploited all over the world?
That's a huge question, Habibah. And I think it comes down to male insecurity. I think men are very insecure and they feel the need to control. And I think they do it often subconsciously. And as children, girls are trained to be compliant. We are trained to be nice. And we're trained to somehow serve men, and that makes men feel much more secure because they control access to the world. I think
Yeah,
that's the root of it.
yeah, that's true. And the second question I wanted to ask you that in Asian countries, especially third world countries, women are not giving due rights. Why?
I would like to ask many governments of the world why they don't encourage more female businesses. There are ways to encourage the creative output of of anybody, but in particular women. If you like support female entrepreneurship, suddenly you have more female-owned businesses. And I'll point out,
Yeah,
that I think it was Steve Jobs. I may be wrong about exactly who it was, but I think it was Steve Jobs who said, I'm only competing against 50% of the world,
yeah,
implying, and he was talking about that he's not competing against women because women aren't even allowed to compete to some extent.
yeah,
Um, and I think that the system of male domination is just intrinsic, and that if men can be more secure in providing an environment where women want to be, then they can have real security in all of their relationships with women. And then, like, whether it's their daughter or their wife, and not be so afraid of letting her be seen. If a woman wants to be with you, whether it's your daughter or your wife or your sister, then you don't need to control her.
yeah,
It's good for the mindset news because it is a mindset shift for everybody. And it starts from childhood, Abiba. When we're babies, we're trained to be compliant and to serve. And that's kind of a mental competition with
yeah,
our own abilities to other things besides cooking and cleaning.
yeah. So in the world, women are bring their role almost equal to their male counterpart. But it's still the society male dominated. Why?
I just love your questions. I've been asking these for all my life. Oh, so I want you to repeat the whole thing. You said still it's male dominated,
Yeah,
even though women are equal.
yeah,
Well, I think we have briefly covered that, and that clearly just you and me in the same virtual digital space, our ideas are just bouncing off of each other, and we're gaining knowledge just by having this conversation. It's clear that we have abilities, and
yeah,
I think that it's still male dominated because, like I said earlier, I think men can, not all, can be very insecure and afraid of the power that we have. You
yes,
have amazing abilities, and so do I. And I spent many years afraid and, frankly, dominated. And I was very servant oriented for many years. And I just broke out of that shell one day and decided I wasn't going to be anymore.
so there are many women rights organizations in the world, but women don't register their problem. What reason behind it?
That's a good question. And I recently did some research on rape, for example. And even in the United States, for every
Yeah,
1,000 cases of rape that are registered, only 6 get prosecuted. There is a mentality of blame the victim, and even the victim blames herself. I'm using rape as an example. But so for every 1,000, we're getting some comments, by the way. And but
Oh,
I'll put one of them on the screen because I can't really read it in a minute. But women are blamed, and women blame themselves. Like I dressed funny, and that's why I was raped, but that's not true. Um, Rape as an example of exploitation of women or harm of women is
yeah,
it's about domination, it's about control, and it's about anger. And of course, anybody who has raped somebody, of course they want the female to feel like it's her fault. That would be natural. Um,
yeah,
but I do want to move into some solutions. I don't want to focus all on the problems, but I'm going to try to put a comment up here to see if, and then you can try to read it. Can you read that, Habiba?
no, it's another language. I just read Urdu, English, so it's something difficult for me.
Okay.
Tanapay, Nabigun, Neoke,
I don't know. I'm
Nag.
sorry, Lover Jan. We can't read it.
Okay.
So anyway, hi Rishu, Kumar. We got lots of wonderful comments down below. And so your next question, Habiba.
Yeah. Sometimes conservative societies claim that women are inferior to man. Is it true?
What do you think, Habiba?
I think they just think.
It is absolutely not true. That is
Yeah,
one of their attempts
yeah,
to control us. If we think we're not as good, if we think our thoughts aren't as good, then we won't try to put them out there. And
yeah,
there's a very common method. And like if you're in a room with a man and he kind of scoffs at you like, "Pfft, you've missed the point."
yeah,
This is their method of sidelining or marginalizing your opinion. And I mean, women can do it to women too. We're talking about female empowerment today. So if you're ever in a room and a guy goes, makes that kind of face, that's called contempt. It's called scorn, and it's an attempt to marginalize your voice. And
yeah,
there are ways to overcome that. And awareness is the first step. So if you're aware that when someone goes, it's not that your thought is wrong, it's that they're trying to marginalize your voice.
yeah,
And that awareness gives you more power to say, so your facial expression would tell me that you disagree. Let's have a conversation about that.
yeah,
That empowers you, the ability to politely disagree with a smile and to say, let's have a conversation about that. It doesn't have to be an angry, it's not like an angry takeover. It's more like an engage with and say, well, I know that I'm not inferior to you. And you
yeah,
know I'm not inferior to you. What is it about my idea that you don't think is relevant? And so it's a very subconscious way that men and any other human can try to convince you that your ideas, they're just not that valuable or relevant. They're not going to call you stupid. They're going to say that idea is not relevant.
yeah. So, what solution did you suggest to improve women rights?
I would love for husbands and fathers to recognize, so for fathers should recognize that psychology teaches us that it is the father who gives self-confidence to the daughter. And I don't know the details of that. I'm only a student of psychology, but it is if the father says to the daughter, your ideas are awesome, then that gives her confidence. The mother lends to the daughter different traits. To husbands, if you create an environment where your wife is happy and to be with you, then you don't need to be afraid of controlling her. And every job can be dreary at times. When I was a stay-at-home mom, I did all the cooking and cleaning, and I was happy to do that because I was happy to be so involved with my children. But in that situation, it's really wonderful if the husband can just do the dishes once in a while. And or to help in any way. The husband can come into the
Yeah.
kitchen and he can just cut an onion. If he cuts an onion and talks to the wife while she's cooking, any little thing can be done to make her happy. And I'll give you an example of what not to do, and there will be a solution after that. This guy I knew a long time ago, he was married and he's still married. I presume I haven't seen him in years. And they had a baby. He and his wife had a baby, and he was holding the baby, and he realized the baby needed to be changed, the diaper changed. So he hands the baby to his wife and says, "You're much better at changing diapers than me. How about you go change the diaper?" And I started laughing, and he got really mad at me. I said, "Do you really think she believes that she's better at changing a diaper?" I mean, this was him. This was in the US. I mean, women are controlled in the US too. Don't, you know,
Yeah.
don't.
Women are.
So I said, "Do you really think she thinks she's better at changing diapers and that's why you want her to do it? I mean, she's not that stupid." And he was so mad at me. He really was convinced that his wife was convinced that she was better at changing diapers than him. Nobody's better. I mean, this is a skill like using a pencil. You can learn how to change a diaper in about 20 seconds. So don't be condescending to your wife in such a way. Create an environment that she wants to be in and that she can thrive in. My husband is an amazing man who cooks wonderful food, and he's a very manly man. I mean, there are lots of famous male chefs. And so if there are two jobs and in a husband and wife situation, if there are two careers, that means everybody is helping with the babies. And
Yeah.
The father's involvement in children's lives is critical to their future success. So it is not unmanly to involve yourself with your children. It's very manly, and your children need you fathers.
Yes.
Well, so that's a start. Do you have more specific questions?
And now I have some questions about global mobility. So before we go about the question, we dive into the questions. I wanted to ask that I wanted to tell to my audience what the global mobility is actually. Would you please tell us about the global mobility?
Absolutely. So I talk about this with my students often. I cannot lower the road to meet somebody who doesn't, speak English. And
Yeah.
I can't change the fact that English is the global um, business language. I can give away English for free. I can give power to anybody in any country by giving away English, or how to act the right way. But at the end of the day, they have to learn it. So there are and I'm using English as an example. The business world, functions in a particular way, and men and women work together, period. And so you have to be able to handle the fact that men and women work together. That's the way
Yeah.
that is. So my point is that if a student is, I got to get my hands right. If a student is down here in any skill set, whether that's um, managerial, whether it's they're late all the time to class, or they don't think win-win. I can't bring the world down in its standards. I can bring the students' standards up. I can teach students to be on time because people are on time in the business world. Uh, Time may be a human construct, but we work by that. I can give skills such as be proactive, not
Yeah.
reactive. So you're already planning for your future, Habiba. You are aggressive about your future. That leads you to global mobility. It's about a mentality of all of these skill sets that, you don't say give me money.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You say I will work. I can do this. And then you can get a return on your for the work that you have done. Global mobility has more to do with the mindset of the individual. I tell people all the time, VOA English, it's great, a great way to learn English. But if the person doesn't actually go to VOA English and learn English and speak it with their mouth, then they're not going to learn English. So the skill sets, Habiba, that you have, that you embody, one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you is because you embody global mobility, even at such a young age. I have to ask you, and I already know the answer, but I'm not even going to ask you. I'm going to say, I think your father must really cherish your mind and heart because at your young age, you
Yeah.
have great self-confidence. And if your father didn't cherish your mind and heart, it would be evident. But I want to thank your father for being such a wonderful
Mhm.
force in your life because you can change the world.
Thank you so much. He is listening.
Ah, that's
He is listening.
wonderful. Yeah, and thank your mom too, because wow, they're doing a great job
She is
together.
also listening.
Oh,
She,
I I hope to meet her someday.
yeah. Yeah. We will.
Yeah, so global
Okay.
mobility is about skill sets, is my point.
Yeah.
And I can give those skill sets to people. And I think also, um, like I worked with some students in Lebanon in at the beginning of COVID, and they were amazing. Like they were analytical, they were critical thinkers, they were really amazing
Yeah.
students. And I think so one of the reasons why I founded Global Mobility is to make the world aware that people in Pakistan or Lebanon or Macedonia are amazing. We just have to,
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring awareness to the world about the abilities of people in these other places. I mean, the US has some great people, but we also have some idiots. And like the whole world is the same in this manner that every country has some wonderful people and every country has some not so wonderful people. And I can't change laws in countries, but that would facilitate global mobility. Like I'm working with some female entrepreneurs in Pakistan, and we're really hoping for embassy involvement so that we can ship products at a reasonable price. Um, but we require government support for something like that. Hi, Justin. Hi, Aria. What are the
So,
questions you
what
have?
do you think?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think about the global mobility for the common man in our society?
When you say our society, who is our?
Our own society, Pakistan society, or US society, any society.
That's a very
For
good
our,
question. So,
thank you.
one of the tenets of global mobility is co-rising. If
Yeah, co-rising. You
If
told me yesterday
yeah,
about that.
if one country succeeds and 10 countries fail, then that's
Yeah.
not success. We have to
Yeah.
rise together. And
Yes.
you're right, to do that, we need female empowerment. Um, and the I know that recently, like the UAE shut down visas for Pakistan, and that's an inhibitor to global mobility. And so political strife, political fighting is an inhibitor to global mobility. And so I would like to reduce the violence in the world. And one of the habits for success is learning how to control, how to understand our own anger, and how to not be overly aggressive when we're angry or overly passive. So an aggressive person will fight immediately. A passive person will say nothing, and that passive person will say nothing, and then say nothing, and then say nothing, and then eventually explode. Um,
Yeah.
but the idea that any human can say, "I'm unhappy with what you just said," or "You just hurt my feelings." If you can say these statements calmly, it's called being assertive, not aggressive and not passive. In the middle is assertive.
Assertive.
And if
Yeah.
you can speak your mind calmly and disagree, uh, then the world will be a better place. And one skill for that I also teach is debate. So debate is the ability to disagree calmly based on evidence. And it's one of the tenets of a free society, is the idea that you can disagree with somebody based on evidence, not hubris, not just disagreeing, but also politely. Habiba, you obviously have a lot of ideas, and some of your ideas might be different than mine. And
Yeah.
it's that difference of opinion that helps us both grow.
Yeah.
And so diversity is really important. Learning how to debate based on evidence, um, and calmly, without without getting into a fight. These kinds of skill sets increase global mobility. And one other aspect is the free enterprise system. The idea that, Habiba, you could make a product, blockchain, and you can sell your services. I don't know anything about blockchain. Someday you'll have to teach me. But
Okay.
you have an ability that I don't, and you can use that ability and get paid for your services. That system is not functioning in many countries. So that is an inhibitor uh, to global mobility. And another inhibitor would be governments. There are governments in Africa, all across Africa. There are governments where their president makes $600,000 a month. And that country doesn't have a sewer system. They don't have a water system, those countries. I mean, that is an inhibitor. So global mobility requires a real rule of law, and it requires a real infrastructure. Real roads need to be built, and real water systems need to be built, and we need to reduce the corruption. So those are some thoughts. We could go on for hours, but I think our time is limited. Yes.
Yeah. Hello to all the viewers, all comments, all those people who are commenting us. Hello.
Hi, Justin.
And
Justin says hi, and Christine says hi. Oh, Christine says Zach.
hello.
And I already said hello to Aria, and Angela says hi, and Manish.
Hello.
So Habiba, I got to tell you,
Okay.
I'm really amazed with you. And I'm wondering, you haven't really, what are your thoughts on what I've said?
Sorry?
I've said a lot. What what are your
Yeah.
thoughts based on what I said?
Uh, your thoughts are amazing. Like we are nearly to all those points which I have to convey to my youth, to my audience, that what the women empowerment is actually and what the global mobility is actually. So you just said amazing. You just told us amazing that we never heard about before it. And the last question I would like to ask you that what message would you like to convey to the betterment of women near future?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. What message would you like to convey to the betterment of women near future?
The message I want to convey is that if you're a girl out there who doesn't feel like you have anything to offer the world, you're wrong. Um,
Yeah.
each person on this earth is given certain skills and certain passions about things. I'm not talking about love passion. I'm talking about, um, Habiba, you want to change the world in a certain way, and so do I. And those thoughts are valuable to all the women out there. Whatever it is you think you want to do, you can do it and find a mentor. There are women and men out there who are happy to mentor um, and support women who have something they want to do on this planet.
Yeah. So this is your message, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jessica ma'am, for coming and giving your precious time to us. Thank you so much. We will meet again as in live interview. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
for your time too. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye, Habiba.
Bye bye. Thank you. Welcome. Okay.